and welcome to the SoCal Yearbook Gal Education Series designed to inspire, encourage, support, and make your life easier. This week, we're talking about searching for stories. And I want you to think about your 2021 book and how unpredictable the future is right now. And we don't know what's going to happen. We don't know, a lot of us don't even know if we're going to start school on the first day of school, if we're going to actually be in the building, or if we're going to be at home, or if we're going to have some sort of combination of both. And I know a lot of you are wondering what your yearbook is going to look like if we're not in school. And I had a really great chat with another yearbook advisor, and she said, the football players are still going to be football players. They're not just going to be sitting around. They're going to be doing something. So what are they doing, even if the sport's not happening? And that could be said about so many activities. These kids are doing things. We just need to find out what they're doing, and we need to tell that story. And even where in the areas where you think that there is no story, there is, and we just need to look for it. And so there are ways of encouraging your students to find alternative copy. And there are some great questions. Like you can have, I'm just looking at this book right here, and there's, hey, Timberwolves, want to go thrift shopping? And it says fashion forward students share favorite places and items to thrift shop. There's 3 students. They have like their favorite item that they found at a thrift store and how much it cost. And it's just a quick little quote. It's alternative coverage. These are individual students, and it's, how did you get these questions? How did you get these answers to these questions? You had to go and ask these students these questions. So it's so much of it is just finding students who are willing to volunteer their quotes. But even in, say, an English class, you have, even if it's on Zoom, you still have English classes happening. You still have math and all these other core curriculum classes going. And there are stories there. And so this was just a really cool story. This is in the Cedar Park High School Tracks book. And there's a teacher who had her students prepare literature. And I just want to read just a little part of this just to show you that it's an English class. It's an actual assignment. And this is the information. And it's just a student was able to get this information by interviewing students who were in the class. And it was talking about this teacher who was preparing, had the students prepare pieces of literature to present, and then they had to recite their poems or their short stories. And there was a quote from a sophomore, and it says, coming up with what she was going to write about was her biggest struggle, she said, but once she found it, she was able to prepare her work a lot faster. And here's her quote. I wrote about my sister from when we were younger and how I saw her in the hospital losing her hair, Vondran said. The surgeons were reshaping her skull because of a medical condition she was born with. The project was completely free-written with no requirements from Virgin. It was supposed to focus on the creativity of the pieces, and at the end, they could present their finished work. Here's another quote. A major challenge was building up the courage to share my piece, Vondran said. Sophomores Haley Allen and Haley Gross both got to walk around and share their writings. Allen wrote a poem called Destiny. She said presenting in front of the class was also a struggle. Quote, after I presented, I felt better, Allen said. I loved walking around and reading what everybody else had put together. So it's an assignment. It's just a standard English class assignment, but there's a story there. If you look for it, there will be a story there. And I want to encourage you and your staff to look for the stories rather than cutting your yearbook short, because this book is a big old thick book. We have, how many pages are in this book? I don't know, like 300 pages. There's like 280 pages in this book. Parents and students want to buy this book. They want to read the stories. They want to see what was going on that year at your school. And they're willing to pay the price for the book that you're going to create. However, if you start cutting out the stories and you start cutting out, like if we have to cut out sports, we have to cut out sports. But maybe we only cut out the sports that would have happened during the school year that are no longer happening. But these kids are still doing something, as I said earlier with the football players. Well, maybe they're surfing. Maybe we have students doing equestrian. Maybe they're doing other things. And so maybe rather than the traditional stories that we have, we just have to be a little bit more creative. But I encourage you to get those stories and put them into your book rather than cutting out the pages and going from a 280-page book down to a 128-page book that's really just portraits. Because I don't know who would want to pay for a book that just has portraits. So anyway, I encourage you to get creative with your stories, get creative with your photography and with your interviews and your alternative copy, and keep your books beautiful and keep them big, and be creative. Good luck on your book.